Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from the Bhakti Center, New York City, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center, New York, Kaustubha. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Friday. It's Tell a Friend Friday. Tell a friend about Wisdom of the Sages. Some people are just like, yeah, Wisdom of the Sages changed my life. I say, how'd you get into it? They said, somebody told me. Somebody just told me about it. And I was like, man, Tell a Friend Friday works.
Sometimes it works that way.
We were hanging last night, me and Kaustubha, at the, I tell you, I was the opening act yesterday for that kirtan because everybody that went on was so good.
Yeah. What, you weren't the opening act. There's someone before you, right?
I should have really opened.
I can't remember. I'm so tired.
I'm living up in the forest. You know what I mean? I'm like behind.
You
These guys are like next. These guys are all next level kirtan people here.
Well, I mean, you did have a Chuta Gopi and Ananta at the end there. I mean, that was like...
Oh, even that young girl who looked like
she's so good.
How old is she? 12 or 20? 29.
She's been coming for years. No, she's like a teenager. She's been coming for years. She's been chanting there since like 9 years old or something like that. Now she's
She looks like she's 9 years old.
13 or 14 or something like that.
Oh, she still is young.
She's young.
You better know that or else that's embarrassing.
No. I know that.
You know what I mean?
I mean, roughly. I'm speaking roughly, but it's like that. She's been chanting there as a little girl at the Bhakti.
I had this girl in my yoga class that I always thought was 14. And one day I came up to her in Shavasana. Right when we went to Shavasana, I said, "It's so nice that your mom lets you come." And she goes, "I'm 29."
But but you're still your mom's.
I mean,
nice.
your mom's nice though. That's what I meant. Stupid things I've said. I'm gonna start a stupid things I've said book. It'd be a good book.
But that atmosphere last night, my God, that
Thursday
was
night kirtan. If you don't go there, go. People are just coming. You could tell there's people who just have never been there also, and they're just like, wow. And when a Chuta started singing, I was like, oh, I get it. We're about to take over the world. That was my feeling. When a Chuta started singing, I was like, this is unstoppable. It's like being around Mozart and Chopin or something like that together playing. And it's just so impressive. You're just like, I looked around when she did that one where she just held the note like, yeah, Krishna.
Yeah. Oh, it took off at that point. Yeah,
everyone's like,
you at that point.
There's like a revolution going on.
No.
It was so beautiful.
What I felt last night was at certain points in that kirtan that it was like everything that we're reading and discussing every morning on Bhagavatam. When we're reading Bhagavatam, you're reading about all the stuff and what we go through in life and what we got to let go of and what we got to grab onto and how we got to elevate our consciousness and all of that. I felt like in that room, but there were a lot of people there last night, 120 people, something like that.
Yeah.
In that room, it was like everyone was living that. It was like everybody got that, right? It's like you had a room full of people that all got that. And when everybody gets that, there's no more conflict. There's no more tension. Everybody's just going up, 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 up together. when everyone's up there and they started dancing and everything, like it's like, it's like Radha and Muralidhar, like Radha and Krishna are in the center of everything, right?
Yeah.
And there's no envy, there's no jealousy, there's no like why aren't I in the center? There's none,
Yeah,
none
you
of
can
that.
actually dance. You can go dancing, and it can be riddled with envy and like,
Oh,
I'm
come
better
on.
than everybody, and look at me dance. Wait till they see my stuff, right, Mara? What's that like? Going out dancing, competing with other dancers. Do you do that?
This wasn't competition there last night, right? It was just like everybody's like the kirtan. It's drawing everybody. Oh, by the way, you broke out your little, what was that, Ananda Sagar thing last
Ananda
night?
Sagar,
You broke out you
Muralidhar.
said, what do you do? You sit down and say, maybe I'm going to break out the Ananda Sagar
Well,
chant
we're in
here.
front of Muralidhar, so I saw they'd sing that song. Yeah, I'm a one-trick pony. I need some more songs. Just being that kirtan yesterday, I was like, I gotta up my game.
No, you were great last night. You were really good. You got a big response. Dr. Justin broadcasted it there live on Instagram, and it was
I
going
think
over
I
big.
think he did. I think my phone
Yeah, he
died
did.
immediately.
It's there. I saw it.
Okay.
I was right next to him when he was doing it. It was a great night.
It was
And we saw a lot of
beautiful
great people. Saw DTG. Nice to see her.
DT is she's
India
gonna be back.
correspondent.
DT, she's gonna be back. Old
right.
school of DT, we call her.
Old school of DT. Indian correspondent, right?
Yeah, and
Her
DT's,
mother.
and the DT's mom. It was sweet. And that beautiful tall couple that come in,
Yeah.
Greg and
Caroline and Craig.
Caroline. Greg and Caroline.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
I
tall
saw them
couple.
too.
They're so tall.
They're tall and beautiful.
Tall people should have their own country, own jurisdiction, because if they get angry, they can hurt us small people.
They thanked us. I saw them and they thanked us for the shout out that we gave them earlier in the week. So
They get another
they're gonna
shout
enjoy
out
this one
just for
too.
being tall lovelies. And I don't think Catherine's ever been to the Bhakti Center. To go to the Bhakti Center, it's like he's like, well, I did yoga for a while, but I think this was next level, and I was a little, maybe he was intimidated or something, but I could understand. I mean, imagine like that's a really busy street, First Avenue. You walk out that street, and there's that restaurant out there. It's so loud.
Mm-hmm.
What must those people think when they hear the kirtan coming? Can you hear it from outside?
Yeah, in the summertime.
Oh my God, it sounds like a spiritual revolution. If I was walking by that street, I'd be like, I want to go
What's
up
going
there.
on? Yeah,
I
what's
want to
going
go
on
up there, man.
Yeah.
It probably takes a lot. Do you remember your first kirtan? It's always a little scary.
It was probably that I hadn't witnessed on the street. It was probably in
Greenwich Avenue or something.
Greenwich Avenue.
Yeah, it's always sort of like, and these are, I'm not taking anything away from that, but this is like, back in the old days of Krishna consciousness, I'd say, sometimes a lot of the people didn't even know how to play the instruments. They weren't like culturally, they didn't necessarily get the whole picture of culture. But what you're getting now in kirtan is you're getting people who grew up chanting from childhood.
World class.
Like
kirtan.
you're getting like the good best.
Yeah. You're saying, my first kirtan, I don't necessarily remember, but I do remember this. You're going to meet our old friend Hartley today, right?
I'm going to meet Harley Flanagan today.
And I remember the first kirtans that I really remember was when he would take me to the Brooklyn Temple and for the Sunday feast. And in those days, you had these incredible kirtan leaders. I mean,
That version of kirtan was great too. Old New York school.
Old school New York.
Old school New York.
Oh, man. It's just like so many great kirtan leaders. And then you would sit down at the end of the kirtan, and then Lochanananda Prabhu would sing the Nrsingadev prayers. And that,
He was beautiful singer.
it was like you were floating into Vaikuntha with that.
Yeah.
So I do remember that. And I remember, we did this interview for the Be On Air podcast the other day.
Yeah.
And Kaylee, with
Kaylee Krishna.
he was asking us, like, what's
Who, by the way, is a third generation devotee.
that means his kids will light fire with the mantra.
That's what Prabhupada said. If they're all strict, imagine being
They're all
third
strict.
generation devotee. Your grandfather's a devotee.
Yeah.
All right, go on.
So he asked us, it seems like hardcore and bhakti, they seem like they don't necessarily mix. How did these two like work together? But
They totally mix. They
They
totally
totally
mix.
mix. And it's really through the kirtan, right? It's like in hardcore, the idea was like even like the band and you kind of lose the distinction between the band and the audience because it's kind of like right like it's like it wasn't like going to Madison Square Garden and seeing Led Zeppelin or something like that. It's like, okay, they're the band, we're a million miles away. You know, it's like everyone's part of it. You know, like in the
Yeah,
kind of
I thought
shows that
about
we
that.
were at and the little places that we were at and the way the dancing was and everyone was up on stage and the band was off the stage
Everybody's
at the
on
time. It's like,
stage.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah, really, only Rod and Krishna are on stage. We're all in the pit singing.
but when those guys would take me to the Brooklyn Temple, the kirtan had that same kind of element. It's not just like you're watching someone perform, but it was like everyone was getting into it and with the same full-on physical energy, but just with a different mood. Instead of it being like anger and frustration and hatred, and,
Right.
it was about like love and unity and like that. So
Yeah.
I remember those days, and you really feel. I feel great that we can bring people to an experience like the Thursday Night Kirtan today, in this at this era, and people can really feel it.
Mara, we got to come down more.
Yeah, we do. I wish
Take
I
our
was
up,
there.
take our upstate posse. Take Richard O.
Oh,
Take
that's
him
what
with
we do. Everyone
us.
comes together. Parmananda was coming down every Thursday. It's a little more-
Harmananda. Well, like a whole kirtan train come down from upstate down on the Taconic Parkway.
Yeah.
Kirtan train. All righty.
Whew.
I had something good to say today. A little
What do you
nugget.
say?
What do you think of this nug?
Okay.
A little nugget. Two. I like
Who's it
this.
coming
I'm
from?
gonna
Who's it
memorize
from?
this.
Who's it from? I actually
I got it
don't
from
know the nugget.
Shubha
today.
Vilas. It's from Shubha Vilas.
Okay, he's.
Who I want to get on the show, an interview. He's like a really cool
Swami.
disciple Radhanath Swami, but he's a very
Raghunath.
he's a disciple of mine. Thank you. He's a disciple of Radhanath Swami, but he's like a prolific author. He's one of those genius people
He's
that you run
pumps out
into.
a lot of books, and in India, I think they're
A
quite
little
popular.
really good books. And yeah. Anyway, he says to appreciate a streak of greatness without insecurity is itself a streak of greatness.
Oh, I like that.
Isn't that a good one?
Yeah.
To appreciate. Now we got to get him on the show after that quote. To appreciate a streak of greatness without insecurity itself is a streak of greatness. Oh, and look who I got that from Instagram, and look who follows him, Guru Chowdhury. You know who that is?
It doesn't ring any bells.
That is the famous actor in India who played Ramachandra.
Oh. All right.
Maybe he didn't push. I don't know. I think he quoted. I'm going to give him the credit anyway. Yes, I think it's his. Yeah, it's hard. It's the biggest thing is we don't like to see other good qualities in people.
Right.
It means something less of myself. If I see other people's good.
Well, it's like Mara when she sees Divya doing well, she feels good about it, right? She's like
It's
100%.
Divya's kitchen. Mara doesn't go in there and no meatballs. That's not her mood. That's not her mood. Yeah.
Where's the vegan meatballs?
Yeah, the sunflower seed vegan mozzarella is good, but where's the vegan meatballs? That's not her mood. Her mood is,
Right.
This is good. Good for her. Congratulations. All glories. I want to support her. I want to wash the dishes for her. How can I serve? That's Mara's mood.
It's important.
Let's go in the kitchen and see if her dishwashers are chanting 16 rounds. Let's check that out.
Our false sense of insecurity, our egos, they just interfere with everything. They just get in the way of everything. They get in the way of our relationships. They get in the way of our happiness. They get in the way of our actually like being positive influences in the world. We just gotta let it go.
You just gotta let it go. And Krishna is like that great. Krishna is like the sun, and I'm like a stinky T-shirt.
Okay, hold it. Let me get this.
Hear this one. You've got if you have a real smelly shirt and you leave it in the sun, anything gross, even like a dead body, like a run over animal, like a squirrel, that thing is in the sun long enough, it draws out all the toxins, all the stinky scents of my shirt, of the dead body, and eventually the thing has become like bone dry.
Tell me that you do wash your clothes.
I do wash them.
Okay.
I do wash them occasionally. Thank you.
Because there's
Dr. Justin washes them for me.
there's
He's
a
very
famous,
good like that.
There's that verse, Krishna Surya. What is it? Krishna Surya Sama. I forget. Krishna is like the sun. Right, and
I just said
ignorance is
that.
like darkness or something like that. But you changed it. You said Krishna's like the sun,
And I'm like a t-shirt.
and I'm like a stinky T-shirt. That was that was it.
My idea is like the Krishna is actually when you're on this path, which we're all on it, right? And we're getting focused. And sometimes we get focused when our life falls apart, and it gets us really focused.
Right.
Then what's happening is he's starting to chip away and draw all those impurities out of us. It's working. It's working. Whenever things are trouble, that's good. If things are going good for you, that's bad. That's best.
But it's chipping away so that we can serve. If we actually desire to serve, like when we chant that mantra, which Srila Prabhupada, the Maha Mantra, Prabhupada told us, it's like you're praying, like, please allow me to be of service, right? But to be of service, we need to get rid of that ego. Otherwise, that ego will interfere with all the service.
Just like that guy. Just like that guy in the fight yesterday. There's a guy in the fight in the street, right? In
Not
Columbus
one guy.
Circle.
It's like a bunch of guys. No, not Columbus Circle. Columbus Avenue.
Columbus Avenue. I'm getting the story wrong. All right, tell the brief version because he told a very long version of that story.
Did I?
Just to get to this point yesterday. And I was like, come on, keep it going. Where are we going with this?
You're so impatient. No, because I'm walking down Columbus Avenue yesterday, and in the bike lane right next to the sidewalk, there's 3 people, young people. Like one was a girl that was 12 years old. She looked a little bit older, but she was young. And then another teenage girl and another guy, maybe about 20 years old. Is this too much
Why are you
detail?
giving the ages? Just tell the
Because it's
story.
important. Because that's why. Because the girl that was 12 years old, she was so scared.
Okay.
So what happens is like they're riding right next to me. And you hear this guy yelling and screaming, "You ran a red light!" And he's running after them. And he grabbed them. He grabbed their bikes and grabbed them by the arms. And he was screaming. He was like this big, intimidating guy, and he's like screaming his head off at them. It's like, hold it. What's the big deal? Okay, they ran a red light on a bike.
Yeah.
Maybe it was wrong, whatever. But what you're doing is like really way off. He was really. It seemed like he was about to get super violent, right?
And that's where Kaustubha came in.
That's where I stepped in. Well, there's me.
Hold it, everybody.
Let me. So there's me and there's one old man. He was kind of like an older man. Like he was old. He was an old man. But we both, said, hey, take it easy. What's going on here? Chill out. But the guy was just like pumping it up, and just screaming. He's like, they ran a red light. They could have hit. He was obviously like a psycho. And he was really losing it in that moment. And the poor girl, the 12-year-old girl, and what he did was he grabbed their bicycles. They were standing over their bicycles. They're like, what's going on? And they're still standing over and he was throwing their bicycles on the ground. So it was like, it seemed, they were lucky they didn't end up on the ground. And it seemed like he was just about to start kicking the crap out of him right there.
It doesn't happen upstate New York.
Well, it doesn't normally. I mean,
right, Mara? You never see that. It's never happened to you.
No, the people just run around with their guns and like, they do all kind of stuff upstate.
It's our Second Amendment right, Prabhu.
Okay. So anyway, he's going off. And then, so at that point, other people started getting involved and they're coming from all, you could see it was like a whole happening on the street. And more people started coming. But the people that were, you see, my whole point was like, what was the word that you used yesterday? Like to bring it down, right? Like
de-escalate.
De-escalate. That was the whole point. This was the point, right? All that needed to be done, the whole focus of this thing should have been de-escalate this. But the people that were coming in and trying to help, they were actually escalating it. Like they were getting in his face when they didn't need to. Like
you and the older guy were trying to de-escalate.
The older guy was just
held the olive branch.
Peace. The older guy was like yelling, "You're a terrorist," and all this. So he was kind of. I was like the only guy trying to really de-escalate the whole thing. So but even other people coming and they were like, so my point was what I could see was like, come on, this guy's obviously losing his mind, right? He is not rational in this state. We should all be rational and de-escalate this kind of thing. But I could see the egos of some of the other people that were like joining in. It had more to do with them and how they felt about themselves or how they were perceived by others.
Sure.
Than actually trying to do good and be of service. Right?
And that's
So-
your point. We're trying to do some
my
good,
point.
but our egos are getting in the way anyway.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly.
Be like Kaustubha. Go in there
That's
without
not
ego.
The point. That's not the point. But the point is that if we truly want to be of service to God, service to all humanity, service to all living beings, it's the ego that's getting in the way. Our false conception of ourself. And when you can really fully let go of that, you can serve, and then the world changes. And that's what we saw in the kirtan last night, right? Where the ego goes away and then everyone comes together, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you're in a holding pattern, if you're single, or if you're it's sort of like a holding pattern in life, or between jobs maybe, or something like that, to the degree that now we're starting our spiritual life, to the degree that I get focused on my spiritual life, your choices are going to change. You know, if a person's wrapped up in their ego and their bad habits, they're going to choose a partner. They're going to choose a career path. That has something to do with where they're at. Stay serious on this path. Really work on yourself for a year, 2 years, 6 months, whatever it takes, where you can step away from your previous incarnation of yourself. And in that time, it refines who you choose. It refines your direction you move. And this is what we're here. There's inner work going on here. Inner engineering, Kaustubha.
Nice. Okay.
All right.
Okay. We ready to dive in?
Yeah. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesha badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyana Timarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmae Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Okay.
I feel like the Pavlov dog. Every morning when you chant that, I'm just like, okay. My eagerness.
Everybody goes
Hearing
into it.
just-
And you know what I do when I chant those prayers?
Yeah.
I look around at the Zoomers and see who's praying and see who's just spacing out. Everyone's just like walking around, getting something to snack on. Everyone else is religious. I know. I'm making a list. I'm checking it twice. I'm trying to see who's naughty or nice.
All right. You don't have to do that. Everybody's with you, Raghu.
I'm joking. I don't do that. I don't. You guys can do whatever you want. You can take a break at that time. You can bow down, full flat on your belly. Whatever you want to do during that point.
All right.
All right. We're reading from the third canto, chapter 15, text 48. We left off on
48, which was a verse that, like many verses do, and many passages from the Bhagavatam do, they broke out that construct that there's three basic fundamental approaches to life, right?
No, not that. This verse didn't do that.
It did too.
48 did that?
Yeah.
About Brahman?
No, not that.
Oh.
About karma bhakti and karma jnana and bhakti.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That some people, they're seeking for material benedictions in this world. For instance, like the heavenly kingdoms or the pleasures of this world. And some people are seeking liberation. They want to escape from the pains of this world. And so those ideas and how to approach them are laid out in the broader Vedic literature, the four Vedas, the Upanishads, etc. But then Bhagavatam comes along and clarifies, those are steps forward for people, but they're all leading towards a goal. Yeah. And when we really see things correctly, we realize this world isn't meant for my material enjoyment. That's not where I get my Atma Supersiddhiti, my complete satisfaction of the self. And even mukti, even liberation, even freedom from the sufferings of this world is incomplete. But where the focus should be is the entire purification of one's desire, to the point where all one really desires is their divine connection through love with God and with every living being, or bhakti. So text 48 said persons who are very expert and most intelligent, right? If you, the people that really understand what this entire spiritual tradition is moving towards, most intelligent in understanding things as they are they engage in hearing the narrations of the auspicious activities of the pastimes of the Lord, which are worth chanting and worth hearing. So that's indicating bhakti right there, right? And then it says such persons do not even care for the highest material benediction, namely liberation, mukti. They're not interested in just finding freedom from the suffering of this world. And to say nothing of other less important benedictions like material happiness of the heavenly kingdom. So right there, you got those three. Karma means searching for happiness through the material things. Jnana, in this context, meaning seeking freedom from the sufferings of this world, mukti, liberation. And then ultimately bhakti, which is the complete satisfaction of self. And we mentioned last week, I think it was, mukti stands there with folded palms when you're doing bhakti, right?
Yeah, you immediately get mukti.
It comes without you even trying for it. It's not important to you. But because you become overwhelmed with your devotional attraction and and that love.
You know what's amazing? I just want to give a little appreciation for Prabhupada, the author, not the author of the Bhagavatam, but the one who translated it. He wrote the commentaries. Yeah, it's like he somehow, these purports, he makes them for like Western people who don't know anything, and at the exact same time makes them for Indians and all of their religious baggage coming into it. It's amazing how both can really, and there's things that we'll read that like don't even make that much sense, but we're like, yeah, but something else did make sense, so we carry on. But there's a line in the purport that says, the devotee doesn't even care for the post of Indra. A devotee knows that any pleasurable material position is subject to be annihilated at a certain point. Even if one reaches the post of Indra or Chandra or any other demigod, he must be dissolved at a certain stage. I'm thinking to myself, like, what American wants to, we don't even have that concept. That might be a concept in India. Like, I want to reach a post of Indra. I want to do some rituals, practice some mantra, do some pujas so I can get a higher material position in my next life. That's a thing. There's people who want that.
Yeah.
I never woke up and thought, I want to become Chandra, the moon god. I never thought that ever.
But we don't have that, like, that level of focus, but we do want like what they have, so
yeah, we do want stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, even in youth, before I was into bhakti, I would pray for stuff.
Yeah, or even like, in other words,
you don't even know what to pray for. They don't teach you really what to pray for that much.
But in one sense, like, whatever we're desiring is our prayer, right?
Yeah.
Like Paramatma is hearing it, and it's like, I want a beautiful body that's attractive to people, so I can have many beautiful lovers, like that's a common desire, right? Or I want wealth, that
I prayed for girlfriends before.
Okay.
I'll admit.
What to speak of desiring it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, although the Western person may not have like this clear, like, this more well-defined conception of what they're aspiring for materially. Like the heavenly planets, what to speak of like the post of Indra or Chandra or something like that. But they're desiring the same things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they may not also have the idea of what Brahman is or Mukti is, like in that sense, but they're desiring relief from those sufferings. So that's
right.
The basic idea, right? So bhakti means that one's desire has been purified of those separate, you could call them selfish desires, right? The idea that either I want things or I want relief from things, but it's all about me in the center.
Right.
In bhakti, so in bhakti, it's like, what? I just focus on my love, and those things are all taken care of. I don't even have to go there, And so there's that famous verse by Rupa Goswami, Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmanyana avritam. It's defining what pure bhakti is.
Anakuyena Krishnanu
Shilanam bhaktir
Uttamam.
Uttama. Yeah, that's yeah.
Uttapam. Uttapam.
Not Uttapam.
Uttapam is like a breakfast food.
Yeah.
Uttapam.
Not Uttapam, but Uttama. So the highest bhakti, it means it has to be completely purified of our selfish, separate desires, namely, and they fall under those two categories, that I want the things of this world or I want to escape the pains of this world. And the idea of escaping the pains of this world, or mukti, a lot of people will become confused and think that's the highest spiritual goal.
Because it seems sort of spiritual. Okay, relationships are painful. My job is painful. My family's painful. My life is painful. I just want to.
I get it. That's all
I want to connect
materialistic.
with God. It's all material.
Yeah. And so I just want freedom from that and peace, and really think I am God, like I am that divine energy, right?
Wrong.
Wrong. Okay. So Bhagavatam is going to point out, yeah, no, there's something more. That's just the neutral stage. There's something far more beautiful and satisfying, and that is your true dharma, and that is bhakti. Okay. So we got 2 more verses for this chapter,
Right. So we read that one.
and then you know what's going to happen next chapter?
No. What?
The curse is going to happen.
Oh, he's going to get cursed. Okay.
Yeah, but also Lord Vishnu is going to speak, and it's really fascinating the things he has to say. Believe me. All right?
Of course.
All right. So text
Oh
49.
Lord, we pray that you let us be born in any hellish condition of life.
Who's speaking?
This is
Four Kumars.
No, Giant Vijay.
No, 4 Kumars. You see,
4 Kumars are.
yeah, because they're like, oh, we just cursed Vishnu's servants.
Oh.
You know, we just said we're going to curse them in any case.
I get
So they're actually, it's kind of like everybody's Vishnu's servant in this thing here, but there was some tension, right?
Yeah.
And so you know, they felt justified in saying, why are you barring us? Here comes the curse. You know, your mentality is not suitable for Vaikuntha. And then Lord Vishnu comes and like, what are we doing here? You know, we're cursing his servants. So, you know, so then they say this prayer.
Okay. Oh Lord, we pray that you let us be born in any hellish condition of life, just as long as our hearts and minds are always engaged in the service of your lotus feet. Our words are made beautiful by speaking of your activities, just as tulsi leaves are beautified when offered unto your lotus feet, and as long as our ears are always filled with the chanting of your transcendental qualities.
Okay, beautiful verse. And 3 things are mentioned here, which we commonly see in Vedic verse. First it says our hearts and minds. So there's the mind. In one sense, when we say heart, it means mind.
Yeah, sort of the mind.
Yeah, it's like that part of the mind where things that are very dear are contemplated and held. Right. So they speak of, again, it says, we pray that you let us be born in any hellish condition of life. We don't even need mukti or anything like that, right? Just as long as our hearts and minds are always engaged in the service of your lotus feet. So there's that, the mind. Our words are made beautiful by speaking of your activities. So there's the mind, the words, and then there's the body. And in this case, when they spoke of the body, they spoke specifically of the ears, right? And as long as our ears are always filled with the chanting of your transcendental qualities. If we've got that, this is the way the Bhakti-yogi thinks, right? I don't need to be in the heavenly planets, right? I don't need to escape, you know, break out of the shell of this material realm and exist in the divine light. I don't need that either. As a matter of fact, I could be in any hellish condition. As long as I'm not disconnected from you, Lord Vishnu, then I'm happy. So let any kind of curse come down. If we've done something wrong here, that's okay, but this is all we ask. We want to stay connected to you. And you know what this reminds me of, Raghu?
I had something in my mind, but I'm sure it's not what you were going to tell me.
It's you. It reminds me of you. You're upstate there most of the time. You're thinking, oh, that city. It's such a bad place. It's so dirty. Everyone's, you know.
Yeah, it is.
You're in New York, but you're in New York now. But because your heart and your mind is engaged in service, right? And your words are all, you know, and your ears are being filled with transcendental spiritual vibration. You don't mind being in the city. You're happy, right? What's that?
I am.
Okay.
I'm happy being here. Yeah, you know me.
Yeah. So really, for the devotee, it doesn't matter where. You know, we're constantly trying to make arrangements for our happiness in this world, right?
Yeah. That's
whether it be where
what
we live,
do.
yeah, where we live, who we're with, you know, the job, the money. You know, I'm going to go here tonight, and then I'm going to find my happiness over there. Oh man, it didn't work. We got to go over there next time. You know, but for the devotee, they're not thinking like that. They're just trying to increase the connection.
Hands up in the air saying, bring it on, Krishna. Whatever you want, I'm yours.
You can have the courage, right? And this is like honest courage, right? The 4 Kumars like, okay, we'll go to hell. That's what it
Want
takes.
us to go to hell? We're okay with that.
We're okay with that.
I'm here to serve. You just, it's like a full-on servant.
That's
like
a servant. Yeah.
It's like a full-on servant.
Let's hear the commentary.
What do you got for me today?
Yeah.
The 4 sages now offer their humility to the personality of Godhead because of their having been haughty. I love that word, haughty.
Haughty. What does haughty mean? Is it
Haughty means sort of like
they overdid it a little. They're a little
a
proud.
little presumptuous, a little proud, a little arrogant. Mara,
Mara, is that right? Should you give it a nod?
Yeah, it means arrogantly superior and disdainful.
Oh yeah,
you're on that, Mara.
Cursing people and stuff like that.
Okay.
What?
Because of their having been haughty in cursing the 2 other devotees of the Lord, devotees of the Lord. Jai and Vijay, the 2 doorkeepers, who checked them from entering the Vaikuntha planet, were certainly offenders, but as Vaishnavas, the 4 sages should not have cursed them in anger. After the incident, they became conscious that they had done wrong by cursing the devotees of the Lord, and they prayed to the Lord, and even in the even in the hellish condition of life, their minds might not be distracted from the engagement of service to the lotus feet of Lord Narayan. That's beautiful, huh?
Yeah.
There's devotees you see who are in a hellish condition. Like when those, there's so many devotees who get persecuted and they just want to worship God. Or sometimes they're in a country that there's a lot of persecution going on. Right. The Russian devotees came to mind in the early 80s or 70s or something. There's a lot of persecution. And
even we've got listeners that are in places like that.
There's listeners right now that in places like that, a lot of persecution going on where they'll be in trouble if they find that they're listening to this. Right. So the idea is that devotees are like, well, this is for my growth. This is what I'm going to do. I've made that choice. Even in this miserable situation, I met one lady who's listened to the show. She said, what happens if you tell people about Krishna in your country? Right? What did she say? She's like, oh, it's a criminal act. Yeah. It's like a criminal act. And I was like, well, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to do it. I was just like, they're like, of course I have to do it. It almost gets them more God conscious just to know they can't go there. It's so impressive.
It is.
It's so, okay. So yeah, those who are devotees of the Lord are not afraid of any condition of life, provided there's constant engagement in service of the Lord. That makes no material sense, but it's true. That's what happens. It is said of the Narayana Para, or those who are devotees of Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, na kutaskan bibyate.
Kutaschana bibyati.
Kutaschana bibyati.
You know that verse?
No.
Did you ever learn that one?
No.
Narayana para sarve.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Narayana
para dharmo.
No.
No?
No, that's another thing. Narayana para sarve nakutas chanya bibyati. Svarga, Apavarga, Nardakeshu. Does that ring any bells?
Yeah.
Svarga.
Svarga, Apavarga.
Yeah, Svarga. Yeah.
They don't care about the heavenly planets.
Apavarga means like liberation, or Nardakeshu, hell. Right?
Yeah.
Apitulyarta darshana. Darshana means to see, and arta means like a value, and tulya means equal. So like they see whether it's heaven, hell, or even mukti, like liberation, apavarga. They see it all the same. It doesn't matter as long as I'm serving, as long as my consciousness is connected to that divine root of all existence, with love. The externals don't matter to me.
Here's like a mild example, but it's a real example too. We came to the Bhakti Center yesterday, right before the kirtan from Divya's kitchen. And there was Jamuna Jaya, our Zoomer, and she's sitting at the desk greeting everybody with her big, beautiful smile. Everybody smiles when they see Jamuna Jaya. I was like, oh, Jamuna Jaya, great to see you. Going to see you up in the kirtan? She's like, well, no, I'm actually serving at the desk tonight. Meaning I'm going to miss the entire program. I'm just going to sit at this desk. And I was thinking, she's completely blissful, completely detached, because this is the kirtan for her. She has to frame out what a new win is. A new win is not to be where the fun is. A new win is to be, how can I be of service?
And then that becomes fun.
And that becomes fun. Right. And it's a huge thing. Sometimes people want to do some service. You know, me and Mara joke about this. Someone came to the farm. We're doing a Seva weekend, and he's like, hey, I want to come to do some Seva. I was like, oh, great. Can you help out in the kitchen? And they're like, well, I was thinking more outside Seva. I was like, okay, great. There's a bunch of people up in the garden. You're like, well, I was thinking actually, after a while, you realize they don't want to do Seva. They want to do whatever they want to do. I was just like, yeah, whatever you want. Just go out there and do whatever you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
But when you sort of have to reframe out what a home run is in Bhakti, and sometimes it's not all the fun stuff, just like Tukaram's kids are on that program where they go up and they set up with Madhuha Prabhu. They set up the whole Rath Yatra festival.
They travel the whole country for the summer.
Yeah, and so they work all night to set up those tents and to build the cart and everything.
Going from town to town.
And they wake up, and they work all night. So in the morning, we can have it all set up. And what do? They sleep during the whole festival.
Right.
Because they've been up all night. So it's like they're ready to sacrifice the fun of the event just to render that service. And there's a great joy in that service. Like when I first moved to New York City, when my kids were little babies, and we couldn't move in, and Raghunath Swami sent the whole Bhakti Center brahmacharis to help move me in. It was like the sweetest thing ever. And the brahmachari, they wouldn't accept money. They did it singing. And when's the last time you had a mover sing and dance in your apartment while carrying your furniture?
A lot of bad stories about movers.
A lot of bad stories about movers, you movers out there.
Not our movers. I had Mara. I had Vegan Trucker.
And Mara and Vegan Trucker. They're the best movers ever.
Wilson. David Charles Wilson was there.
David Charles Wilson was on that team.
Oh yeah. But like you're saying, that's a great example you're giving about Jamuna Jaya, who's like, you see, and it gets back to what I was saying earlier about like, it's the ego that's in the way of our service and of being of service, right? Because like Jamuna Jaya, she's actually like the best dancer out there, right?
She is.
So like. She could be thinking, oh, I'm not going to take this service because I could be up in that kirtan and I could be doing my dance and everybody's going to be looking at how great of a dancer I am, right?
I am, for sure.
but she's not even thinking that, right? She's got those skills and that, but she's, I'm happy doing this service, and she is blissful doing that. And that's the realization that the devotee has to come to. It's something to work towards deeper and deeper and deeper, but here, like this, the translation of that verse, Narayana Parasarve, is devotees solely engaged in devotional service to Lord Narayan. They never fear any condition of life. Do I have to be stuck here down at the desk? I mean, that's like you're saying, it's a mild example, right? But like even hell, they're not afraid of. For them, the heavenly planets, liberation, and the hellish planets are all the same. For such devotees are interested only in the service of the Lord. That's it.
Beautiful.
And as long as they got that, the externals, they see them all equally. All right, Samadarshana.
I'm just noticing a message from you on the board that says, back off the mic.
Back off the mic. Back off the mic a little.
You sent me a private message. Back off the mic.
I sent you that at the beginning.
But that was like
an
hour ago. Sorry.
Yeah, but you've calmed down a little bit, so it's not as necessary. But like at the beginning of the show, you're like, I think you were like, that we were getting that distortion.
It's all over it. Okay.
Yeah. Should we continue with this commentary? We were at that Nakush Taschanya Bibiti part.
Yeah, they are not afraid of entering a hellish condition. For since they are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, heaven or hell is the same for them.
You see, Prabhupada's alluding to that verse there.
Yeah. In the material life, both heaven and hell are one and the same because they are material. In either place, there is no engagement in the Lord's service. Therefore, those who are engaged in the service of the Lord see no distinction between heaven or hell. It is only the materialists who prefer one to the other. Boom.
It takes deep realization, you know?
Yeah. It means you're liberated immediately. Because if you want to do service, you can do that anywhere.
That's right.
These four devotees prayed to the Lord that although they might go to hell because they had cursed devotees, they may not forget the service of the Lord. The transcendental loving service of the Lord is performed in three ways: with the body, with the mind, and with the words.
Mm-hmm.
With the body, with the mind, with the words.
Body, mind, words. We got to engage them all, right? The body is the easiest to engage. The words is a little bit harder, right? Like to control what we say.
Yeah, that's hard.
And the most difficult is to control the mind.
Mind.
So we got to engage what we can. Okay, well, let's start engaging our body and let's start engaging our words, and that mind's going to start to follow, right?
Yeah, here the sages pray that their words may always be engaged in glorifying the Supreme Lord. One may speak very nicely with ornamental language, or one may be expert at controlled grammatical presentation. But if one's words are not engaged in the service of the Lord, they have no flavor and no actual use.
Boom.
That's where you get into your vipassana. If you don't have anything good to say, sit down and shut up.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. We met
Corinne
Corinne Krupp.
Corinne-
That was
Corinne
awesome meeting her yesterday at
We
Divvy's.
met
Corinne
the
Krupp.
famous Corinne Krupp.
I love that name too, Corinne Krupp.
I think the German way to say it is Krupp.
Krupp. Okay.
Krupp, but she says Krupps. Krupp. But yeah, she was saying, well,
She asked a question about Vipassana meditation, like I'm on the Saturday morning things, right?
yeah, and the idea is like, yeah, if you don't have anything good to say, well, you can't say, well, I'm a devotee, so I can talk. No, you can't talk about stuff it's nonsense or that are going to entangle people or implicate your your mind in some like bad thoughts of revenge or resentment or anger. Revenge, what a horrible thought. Okay. Yeah,
Keep going.
keep going. One may speak very nicely with ornamental language, this is what I just read, or one may be expert at the controlled grammatical presentation, but if one's words are not engaged in the service of the Lord, they have no flavor or no actual use. Example is given here of the Tulsi leaf.
Okay.
Tulsi leaf is very useful even from the medicinal or antiseptic point of view. It's considered sacred and is offered to the lotus feet of the Lord. The Tulsi leaf has numerous good qualities, but if it were not offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, Tulsi cannot be of much value or importance.
Yeah, like the value of Tulsi spiritually is like sky high, right? It's like a big thing within the culture.
Similarly, everyone's getting into Tulsi now. You ever notice that, Kaustubha? It's like a thing.
You know, that silver Tulsi mala.
No. I don't mean like that. I mean like people
like tea
health
and
food
stuff like that.
people into
Yeah,
health
Tulsi
food
tea.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
We don't do
Similarly,
that, though.
huh?
We don't do that though. We honor Tulsi so much that we're not interested in using Tulsi as medicine and so on.
Drinking Tulsi tea.
Yeah.
Some people are like, my Tulsi tea. No more Tulsi tea. She's a goddess. We don't boil her. Similarly, one may speak very nicely from the rhetorical or grammatical point of view, which may be very much appreciated by a materialistic audience. But if one's words are not offered to the service of the Lord, they are useless. The holes of the ears are very small and can be filled with any insignificant sound. So how can they receive as great a vibration as the glorification of the Lord? The answer is that the holes of the ears are like the sky. As the sky can never be filled up, the quality of the ear is such that one may go down, one may go on pouring in vibrations of various kinds, yet it is incapable of receiving more. It is capable of receiving more and more vibrations. A devotee is not afraid of going to hell if he has the opportunity to hear the glories of the Lord constantly. This is the advantage of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One may be put in any condition, but God gives him the great prerogative to chant Hare Krishna in any condition of life. If one goes on chanting, he will never be unhappy.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that idea, right? That if I could become so devotionally connected through this mantra, connected through the desire, through service, controlling what I hear and how I speak until I feel that again. I feel that level of devotion again. And I find happiness in the simple things. Happiness in chanting the mantra, happiness in serving the devotees, happiness in hearing the Bhagavatam, happiness in being in kirtan and being with the devotees. If I really develop that taste, and feel that spiritual energy, that all my externals would mean so much less to me. I won't struggle to struggle to find that perfect material setting for myself, which is
So
even if I get it, it's just going to slip away, right?
like nothing can hurt us.
Nothing
It's
can
like a
hurt
type
you,
of armor. We don't let anything hurt us. No, you can't, it doesn't get in. We're not going to be easily offended. We're not going to be offended whatsoever.
Yeah.
That is one of our biggest trip lines, set up is I get offended from people. People have hurt me. How dare they do that to me? What were they thinking? How could you? It's like you let that stuff just roll off. You develop like this type of spiritual armor where you're seeing everything as Krishna's mercy upon me. And then I'm just going to here to serve Krishna. And when you get in that mind flow, you become like, you have this transcendental shield where you just feel connected all the time.
And you feel that even as a beginner, you get a feeling of that, some realization, and then you just work. You make it your life's work to go deeper and deeper and deeper into that.
And the converse is true. If everything that happens to you offends you, I mean, even when people don't even mean it, your whole life is going to be complicated. Stop being offended.
I tell you, that reminds me of that guy yesterday, right? It's like, okay, maybe these kids did like go through the red light or something like that, but like
he was easily offended.
They didn't hit him, and he just started screaming and yelling, becoming violent, freaking out, and he ended up.
What were their ages again?
Well, I know the youngest one was like.
I'm joking.
Well, what you doing? but the point was, I didn't tell this. He ended up going away in cuffs. They took him away. Like he just was easily offended for no reason over nothing, freaked out, and he just went down that spiraled out of control.
And sometimes we get offended when people don't even mean to offend. We just took it the wrong way.
Yeah, they were sweet kids. So I think they were about like 12 and maybe.
Let's tease the story out longer.
Okay, we got only one more verse left for this chapter.
One verse, the chapter's over. What's the title of the next chapter?
I think it's the four Kumars cursed. Let's see, the two doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, Jai and Vijay, cursed by the sages.
All right,
chapter
you ready
16.
here?
Yeah, one last one. Text 50.
Oh Lord, we therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto your eternal form as the personality of Godhead, which you have so kindly manifested before us. Your supreme eternal form cannot be seen by unfortunate, less intelligent persons, but we are so much satisfied in our mind and vision to see it. Naham prakasya sarvyasa yoga maya samavritaha. I'm never manifested the foolish and unintelligent, for them I'm covered by Maya. So true.
Bhagavad Gita there.
Yeah.
Mudho yam, the fools, right? Mudho yam. Nabi jana ti loko mam ajam avyayam. Text 725 from the Gita there.
The mudos.
Yeah, I'm never manifested the foolish and unintelligent. For them I'm covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I'm unborn and infallible.
Krishna's right there in front of our face, but wrapped in my ego, wrapped in my arrogance, wrapped in my silly self-importance, Krishna stays covered. And that's why that humility is like it's humility and honesty is one of the qualifications for Krishna just to manifest in front of us.
Right.
Yesterday's class of like, you will see Krishna face to face. That was a great inspiration. I was like, I want to see Krishna.
When did we talk about? I don't even remember that.
You don't remember that?
We will see Krishna face to face. We were talking about that.
Mara? No? Did I make that up?
Yeah. Maybe that came with.
Sometimes I have significant dreams. And I was like, that was great what we did yesterday, but it was my dream. No, there was a thing where they saw the Lord face to face.
They did see him face to face. Yeah.
Yeah. And Krishna was saying he appears face to face.
Okay.
All right.
Mara, we got any takeaways for today?
We do. We have a bunch. Our egos get in the way of everything.
Yeah.
Krishna draws out our impurities.
Yeah.
To the degree that we're focused on our spiritual path, it refines our choices.
Yeah.
May our minds, words, and body be connected. Real courage is the willingness to serve in any condition.
Real courage?
Yeah.
Did we say that, or did someone else on the message board say that?
In a way.
No, I think Kaustubha kind of said it.
Kaustubha said, okay.
Yeah.
See?
Your whole life is going to be complicated. Don't be offended.
Your whole life is going to be what a blessing.
Oh,
Your
yeah.
whole life is going to be complicated. Don't be
Did I
offended.
say that? I don't remember saying that.
But it's true. It's
You
good
did.
advice.
That's
All right.
beautiful. Well,
we
hit
got
it,
Sleeping Saturday.
Kaustubha.
We got Sleeping Saturday tomorrow, right? That's
Yeah.
Q&A.
Holy cow, I totally forgot about Sleeping Saturday. Q&A day tomorrow. You got a Q? We'll give you an A. You got a question, write it in, Tamara. wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. And that's what we do on Saturday. We start at 8 o'clock. It goes live on Facebook. It's a good day. I have a friend who's not into Bhakti whatsoever. I think he just likes my old band from the old days, and then he's a professional. And he said, yeah, I listen to your podcast on Q&A day. I find it really relevant to my life. So tomorrow's the day to really share it with your friends, Q&A day. Even people who aren't into Sweet Baby Krishna, they might be interested in Q&A. And then we got a special guest for you Sunday. We just haven't figured out who it is yet.
No idea
But they're going to be special. You just wait and see. And what else
Still
we got?
taking suggestions. Still taking suggestions for the 500th episode.
Yeah, we're waiting for good suggestions coming upon us very quickly.
We also have Bhakti Recovery Group meeting today. 2 of them, one at 3 p.m. and one at 9:30 p.m.
How do people find out about Bhakti Recovery Groups? Is it on our website?
It's on our website.
Yeah.
The whole thing is there, like the schedule and everything.
Okay,
And if you have more questions, you can write to bhaktirecovery@gmail.com.
All right, that's good to know. Now, everybody, you're going to take your namaste. You're going to open your namaste. You're going to put your namaste back together. You're going to do that repeatedly until your hands become like a clapping action. And you're going to clap. You're going to sing. You're going to transcend your body by dancing around your computer. Or dancing around the car like Andrew Smith's about to do.
Dance around the car.